Imagine tuning into what you thought was going to be just another political panel on national television. Typical talking heads. Typical spin.
Until Pam Bondi leaned into her microphone, locked eyes with the camera, and dropped one question that made Gavin Newsom's entire face tighten up.
No one was expecting fireworks that day. It was supposed to be civil.
A nice, calm debate about state policies. But when it comes to California's governor, Gavin Newsom, calm usually means talking circles and dodging hard questions like a slippery fish in a politician's suit.
But Pam Bondi? Nah. She wasn't having any of that today. With cameras rolling and millions watching live, she looked straight at Newsom and said, "Governor, can you tell the American people exactly where the billions of federal dollars for California's homelessness crisis actually went?" You could have heard a pin drop in that studio. Even the anchors froze. No scripted notes. No commercial break. No way out.
For years, Newsom had been talking big. Speeches about progress. Press conferences about plans coming soon.
Interviews with phrases like "we're making great strides," but ask anyone who's actually driven through San Francisco or downtown LA recently. They know the truth. The tents. The needles. The crime.
The rising desperation. And now, right here, right now, Pam Bondi was demanding real answers. Billions, she repeated, slower this time.
Not millions. Billions. Where did they go? Newsom adjusted his tie. He gave the nervous little laugh he's known for. The kind of laugh politicians use when they're about to dodge the question with a speech about something else entirely. But Pam wasn't letting go.
She leaned forward, sharper this time, no prepared statements, no PR.
Just facts, Governor.
By this point, the comments section online was blowing up.
Twitter was on fire. TikTok users started clipping the moment live. And you better believe conservative TikTok was ready with text overlays like, "She said what we've all been thinking." But this wasn't just about Pam calling him out. It was about holding one of the most powerful Democrat politicians accountable, live, with no script to hide behind. Gavin blinked.
The gears in his head turning, searching for a way out. The studio stayed silent. America leaned in closer.
And that's when he made the biggest mistake of the whole interview. He opened his mouth. As the cameras zoomed in on Gavin Newsom's face, that nervous smile of his started to twitch. You could practically feel the heat coming off him through the screen.
But instead of answering directly like a real leader would, he did exactly what people knew he would do.
He dodged.
"I appreciate the question, Pam," Gavin began, smoothing his tie, "but it's important to understand the complexity of the homelessness situation here in California.
We've been tackling generational poverty, systemic issues that span decades." Pam's expression? Stone cold. Not impressed. Not buying a single word of it. "Complexity," she interrupted, cutting him off like a hot knife through butter. "Governor, you received over $20 billion in federal relief funds.
And yet California still has the highest homelessness rate in the entire country.
So I'll ask you again, where did the money go?" The audience watching at home? They were loving it. Comments flooded in, finally someone asking real questions. "She's saying what we're all screaming at the TV. Expose him, Pam." Gavin blinked. Twice. His political armor was starting to crack, and everyone saw it. But instead of giving real numbers, or even admitting mistakes, he pivoted to the old, tired game of blame shifting.
"Well," he stammered, "Republican obstruction at the federal level has made it difficult to properly implement some of our programs," and boom.
That was it. Pam pounced.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
The classic blame game.
Take taxpayer money, blow through it, blame the other side, and hope no one notices.
But we noticed, Gavin. And we're not gonna stop asking until we get the truth. It wasn't just her talking anymore.
It was every frustrated taxpayer in America who's been watching politicians get away with wasting their hard-earned money on failed programs and fancy press conferences.
And you know who else noticed? The other panelists. The moderators.
Even some of the liberal-leaning guests on the show sat back, wide-eyed, unsure of how to save him from this one.
Gavin tried to regain control.
"We've made progress," he insisted, voice slightly shaky now.
"There have been reductions in certain areas." Pam raised an eyebrow. "Which areas? Name them." Another pause.
The whole thing was unraveling. Online, the clips were already circulating at lightning speed.
Pam just cooked Newsom live face with tears of joy fire. "This is the debate we've been waiting for." She's got the receipts. Newsom's got excuses.
And just when you thought Gavin couldn't sink any lower, he said the thing that blew this whole mess wide open: "We're working on it."
That's it. That's what he gave the American people. We're working on it. Billions of taxpayer dollars. Skyrocketing homelessness rates. Crime out of control in major California cities.
And all Gavin Newsom could say to justify it was, "We're working on it."
You could see it in Pam's eyes, pure disbelief.
"You've been working on it for years, Governor.
The people of California deserve better. The American people deserve better. And today, we're holding you accountable." That was the moment the studio audience burst into applause. It wasn't supposed to be that kind of show, but you can't stop the truth when it finally breaks through the noise. The camera cut to Gavin, still sitting there, blinking, lost in a mess entirely of his own making. He had the spotlight. He had the platform. He had the chance to defend himself. And he blew it. The internet ate it up like popcorn at a fireworks show. TikToks, Reels, YouTube Shorts. The clip of Pam Bondi demolishing Gavin Newsom was spreading faster than the lies he was trying to sell. But here's the thing. This was just the beginning. Pam wasn't finished yet. Not even close. Because what she pulled out of her folder next was the one thing Gavin Newsom couldn't spin. The applause was still echoing when Pam Bondi slowly reached under the table and pulled out a thick, manila folder. Not a tablet. Not a phone. Not some random talking point memo. A folder. Full of receipts. Gavin Newsom's eyes locked on it instantly, like a deer spotting headlights at midnight. "Since you're having trouble remembering," Pam said calmly, "let me help jog your memory." She opened the folder, revealing page after page of printed reports. Financial statements. Federal fund allocations. Housing contracts. All with one thing in common: the money was gone, and the streets were still full of tents. Gavin shifted in his chair, clearly rattled now. His rehearsed politician mask was slipping. No more confident smirks. No more slick speeches. Just pure, uncomfortable panic hiding behind a thin layer of fake composure. "These aren't partisan talking points, Governor," Pam continued, holding up one document for the cameras to see. "These are your own administration's reports. And they tell a very different story than the one you're spinning here today." The studio camera zoomed in on the papers. Viewers at home could read the headlines: $2.6 billion allocated for homeless relief. No auditable results. Millions spent on consultants, zero progress on the streets. People watching across the country sat back in their chairs. It wasn't just political bickering anymore. It was proof. On live TV. In real time. And Gavin? He tried the only thing he had left: "Pam, with all due respect, this is a complicated issue," but it was too late for polished politician nonsense. The court of public opinion had already ruled. Pam leaned back slightly, letting the weight of the evidence fill the room. "Complicated for you, maybe. But it's simple for the people who are struggling to pay their bills while their tax dollars go to waste." Even some of the liberal commentators sitting at the desk with them didn't know where to look. One nervously sipped their coffee. Another shifted uncomfortably in their chair.
Nobody wanted to be associated with this train wreck anymore.
Billions wasted, Governor.
And you still sit here blaming Republicans, blaming COVID, blaming everyone but yourself. For the first time in his career, Gavin Newsom looked small.
He didn't have a witty comeback this time. No clever one-liners. No dodging the facts. Just him. Sitting. Squirming. Caught.
And that's when Pam delivered the final blow of the segment. You don't need another press conference, Governor.
You need a calculator. Boom. Instant classic. Already trending online before the show even cut to commercial.
Gavin adjusted his tie again, forcing a weak smile, but the damage was done.
The internet had its moment.
The audience at home had their hero.
And Gavin Newsom? He had nowhere left to hide. But Pam wasn't done yet. Not even close. Because the next thing out of her mouth? It would have Gavin's own supporters second-guessing everything they thought they knew. Pam didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She didn't even raise her voice. She just sat there cool as ice, a former prosecutor, trained to smell weakness from a mile away, staring straight at Gavin Newsom like a lion watching a limping gazelle. This isn't about Republicans or Democrats anymore, she said slowly, carefully, like each word was a loaded weapon. This is about accountability. Your accountability. And then came the twist. Pam didn't just call him out on federal waste.
She started reading letters. Letters from his own supporters. Real California residents who voted for him, contributed to his campaigns, who were now writing to media outlets begging for answers about where their money went. This one's from Maria in Sacramento, Pam said, holding up a neatly folded sheet of paper.
A registered Democrat, by the way.
Here's what she said: I voted for Governor Newsom believing he would finally fix our streets.
But my neighborhood looks worse than ever. Where's the money going? Boom.
One of his own voters.
Betrayed.
And now, broadcasted live for millions to see.
Gavin's jaw clenched. His fists curled on the table.
You could see it in his face. This was not the fight he signed up for.
Do you want to answer her, Governor? Pam asked, eyebrows raised, daring him to dismiss one of his own supporters. Or is she also part of some vast conspiracy you've been cooking up to explain away your failures?
No prepared speech could save him now.
And then it got worse. Pam pulled out a photo next.
Printed in color. Held it up to the camera like it was evidence in court.
This is downtown Los Angeles, she said. Taken last week.
And yet you just approved another $1.5 billion for more consultants, for more empty reports. Meanwhile, the people you claim to represent are living in this.
The photo said everything. Trash. Tense. Despair. Viewers at home didn't need politicians anymore.
They could see the truth with their own eyes.
Stop telling Californians what you plan to do. Start explaining why you haven't done it yet.
It was devastating. Even on the panel, one of the liberal commentators finally broke the silence, muttering under their breath, he should probably address that.
Probably. The live chat was on fire. This is embarrassing for Newsom. Pam Bondi's putting on a masterclass. Finally someone holding these clowns accountable. And Gavin?
He tried to fake a composed smile again.
But it was over. The fake confidence couldn't hold anymore. The evidence was too clear. The audience was against him.
Even his base was starting to peel away, questioning everything they'd been told.
And Pam wasn't even gloating. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't making it personal. She was just laying down cold, hard, undeniable facts.
I didn't come here today to argue, she finished. I came here for answers.
The people deserve answers.
By now, the hashtag Pam exposes Newsom was trending on Twitter.
Memes of Gavin sweating. Reaction gifs.
Even some of his supporters started posting things like, "Not gonna lie, this is bad."
And the craziest part? Pam wasn't even finished yet.
She still had one more card to play. What she said next wouldn't just embarrass Gavin Newsom, it would hit him right where it hurt the most, his future. Gavin Newsom sat there, blinking in silence, like a man who just realized the ground beneath his feet was crumbling.
His carefully rehearsed speeches? Worthless. His polished politician smile? Gone. His talking points about complex issues and generational challenges? Torn to pieces by cold, hard evidence laid out by Pam Bondi for millions of Americans to see.
But Pam wasn't finished.
Not yet. She adjusted her papers and looked Gavin square in the eye.
"Governor, you keep talking about plans for the future," she said steadily.
"But what future are you talking about? A future where more taxpayer dollars disappear into black holes of corruption? A future where California families work 2 jobs while their streets collapse into chaos?"
Gavin shifted in his chair, clearly uncomfortable now.
No amount of political charm could cover up what everyone already knew.
And then Pam dropped the real bomb. "Or maybe," she continued, voice cutting through the silence like a razor, "you're not thinking about California's future at all.
Maybe you're thinking about your own future."
The whole studio froze.
Because in that moment,
Pam Bondi said what everyone was already whispering behind closed doors: Gavin Newsom wasn't cleaning up California because he was already too busy setting his sights on something bigger.
The White House.
For months, rumors had been swirling that Newsom had presidential ambitions.
Fancy trips overseas.
Interviews with national media.
A PR campaign that didn't look like a governor's playbook, but like a presidential one.
And Pam called it out, live, for the entire country to hear.
"Is that why you can't answer these questions?" Pam asked sharply. "Because fixing California doesn't fit into your personal agenda anymore." Fire boom.
The chat exploded. She went there, skull, Newsom equals done.
Pam Bondi just cooked him on live TV. Even some of Gavin's loyalists watching online knew it. If he can't handle this, how's he gonna handle a presidential debate?
The moderator tried to intervene, his voice shaky. All right, let's keep this professional." But it was too late.
The truth was out, and everyone knew it. Gavin tried to force a smile.
"I'm here to serve California," he said quietly.
Pam leaned forward one last time. "Then start acting like it." The audience erupted. Applause. Cheers. Even some of Gavin's supporters stood awkwardly, unsure whether to clap or cry. By the time the cameras cut to commercial, the damage was done.
The clips flooded YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, Facebook.
Headlines the next morning weren't about policy. They weren't about party lines.
They were about Pam Bondi dismantling one of the most powerful Democrats in America on live television.
Pam Bondi's brutal takedown of Gavin Newsom goes viral. Bondi exposes billions in wasted funds. Newsom flounders on live TV. Did Pam Bondi just end Gavin Newsom's presidential dreams? Gavin might have come on that show thinking it would be a regular interview.
Instead, he left with his political reputation in flames.
And Pam? She didn't even smile. She didn't have to.
Because the truth speaks for itself.
If you thought that was brutal, wait until you see what Pam did next. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories the media doesn't want you to see. Hit that like button if you're tired of politicians dodging accountability.